Magandang gabi sa ating lahat. Kamusta po ang bawat isa sa atin? Can you hear me, students? And can you see me? Ayan. Paggamit ulit ng ating chat box po o ng ating Q&A box. Okay, so that I know if you can hear me. Okay. Okay. Hi, good evening po. Welcome sa ating mentorship program. So, kumusta po ang bawat isa sa atin? Diba? Ang perfect niyong lahat. Okay, so ayan. May nakikita na po akong mga sumasagot. Okay, loud and clear naman daw po. Ayan. So, kung ganun man po, di mag-start na tayo. Pero bago tayo mag-start po, I would like to invite everyone rather, everything, naging bagay kayo guys. Ayan. So, I would like to invite everyone for a prayer. So, ano na lang po muna tayo. Let's close our eyes. And let's invite the Holy Spirit, okay, to be with us through in this prayer. So, Heavenly Father, together with the Lord Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit, we're praising and glorifying you. We exalt your name and we believe in your power. Thank you so much, Lord, for all the blessings that we have received from you, especially the life and the time to live. Thank you also for this opportunity for all of us to learn again. And thank you, Lord, because we come to know you and we fear you. And despite our shortcomings, Lord, you're able to bless us. And not only us, but also our families. Thank you so much, Lord. And we would like to ask for your forgiveness to all the sins that we have done. And we acknowledge our shortcomings, O Lord. And Lord, as we proceed with our discussion, may we invite you to be the center of this interaction. And we would like to do this review for the glory of your name. And Lord, cleanse our hearts and mind. And may you set these people to be ready for whatever learnings they will have after the review. And we would like to lift up everything to you, Lord. We would like to offer this thanksgiving and prayer to you through the Lord Jesus Christ, your Son, our Lord, and our Savior, who is the way, the truth, and the life. Amen. Okay. So, ayan po. God bless us all. Na nakakatuwa, no? That we always start our lesson or our mentorship right. And how can we make it right? Of course, first by starting it with a prayer. Ayan. So, sana nga po, no, sa tamang panahon, ibigay ng Panginoon ang inyong mga kagustuhan, ang inyong mga hinihiling sa Kanya. At alam kong ito po ay para sa future nyo at para sa pamilya nyo. Okay? So, there. And for tonight, guys, ayan, may mga narinig ako, sabi nila dito, galing daw po nila ng face-to-face review. Ayan. Yung iba naman, ka-attend lang po ng metacognition with Dr. Carl sa Butuan City. O, di ba, napaka workaholic ng mga lecturers ng CBRC, especially ang ating CEO at President si Dr. Carl Balita. O, 'di ba? Napaka-perfect. Okay? So, syempre, hindi po nagtatapos yan dyan. Magpapatuloy tayo at heto nga, tayo ay nasa mentorship pong muli. Ayan, so masaya akong nakikita kayo virtually. Kasama ko kayo. Kaya, yun, pag-igihan po natin ang review natin tonight. So for this evening, guys, we will talk about classical physics. So this is just the continuation of what we have started last time. Okay, kasi nag-start tayo ng classical physics and we ended up with the resistance, no? So just a quick recap, guys. Last time, we talked about thermodynamics. Okay, that the energy is just being transformed. It will never be created nor destroyed. It is already there, but it is just transformed from one form to another. Okay, so there. And aside from thermodynamics, we also discussed the different laws of thermodynamics. And also we discussed electricity, the voltage, the current, okay, and the light. So, yun po. Ngayon, ipagpapatuloy lang po natin and I hope na matapos na natin ang classical physics this night and the next meeting na physics ulit will discuss the quantum mechanics, no? Ayan. So, ayun lang naman po. Ngayon, I will share to you now my ayan. So, I will share to you my ayan. Okay. So, there. Heat. Saan na ba yun? Okay. Ayan. So, I hope nakikita na po ninyo ang aking slide. At ngayong gabi nga ating pagtutuunang pansin ang heat. And aside sa heat, we will be discussing specific heat, heat transfer, and also optics. And not only optics, we will also talk about magnetism. And aside sa magnetism, we will talk also about the spherical mirrors that are available and the electromagnetic waves. Ayan. So lahat po yan madidiscuss natin tonight. So sa mga bago lang po dyan na kasama, na kakaasali lang po sa ating mentorship, kay magpapakilala lang po muna ako. My name is Sir Val. So I am a lecturer, a national lecturer of Dr. Carl Ibalita Review Center. And I am also a board passer and top notcher with the rating of 92.20. So nag-top 5 po ako and my major is science, particularly biology. Ayan. Okay, so yun lang naman po. At tara na, atin ng pag-aralan ang classical physics. So ang first topic natin is about heat. Okay. So pag sinabi nating heat, ano bang pumapasok sa isip natin? So pag sinabi nating heat, ito ba yung parang energy din po ba ito, Sir Val? Okay, maaari po. Yes, it is an energy. It's a form of energy. Ang heat po ay madalas nakikita natin yan kapag may uh, supply tayo ng energy, maaring in the form of electricity, in the form of friction, and among others. So yan po yung heat. And just to provide you a comprehensive definition of heat, heat is the total kinetic energy of all molecules. So we have here total kinetic. The word kinetic means moving. So there is heat if the molecules are moving. I will molecules are moving. I will repeat. There is heat if the molecules are moving. What kind of molecule is that, Sir Val? Molecules that are present in matter. Okay, last time we discussed kinetic energy, that the higher the movement of molecules or even atoms comprising a certain matter, the higher the kinetic energy. Okay? And remember, heat is a form of energy. So if this is a form of energy, we can also conclude that heat is also the ability to do work. Okay? It can help us to do work, that is heat. Okay? And heat is measured in joules or in calories, depending on what context we are talking about. Okay? But regardless of the situation, please be reminded that one small calorie is equal to 4 joules. I will repeat. 1 calorie is equal to 4 joules. And one big calorie is equal to 1,000 calories. And if there is 1,000 calories in one big calories, then we have 4,000 joules. So that's how to convert if you're given a problem using calorie as unit, and if you're asked to get their joule or to get the equivalent in joule, then just be reminded or remember that one small calorie is equal to 4 joules and one big calorie is equal to 1,000 calories, small calories. Okay? And heat depends on mass. Definitely. Because if you're going to heat up a certain matter, and if that matter is occupying a space, then whatever mass it is, that's also the amount of heat needed for you to heat that matter up. Okay? So there is a direct relationship between mass and heat. Parang pagpapainit lang yan ng tubig. Hindi mo maipapakulo ang lahat ng yon kapag hindi mo na i-provide yung heat na kailangan to boil the water. Hindi pwedeng konting heat lang. Dapat madaming heat kasi madami din po yung tubig. I will repeat, mass is directly proportional to heat. Okay? And also, heat is also depending on the energy of particles. How can we measure the energy of particles? That depends on how fast the molecules or the particles are moving. So if the particles are moving very fast, then kinetic energy is high, therefore the heat is also high. But if there is no particle moving, meaning there is no heat, and if there's no heat, absolute no heat, then we can say that's what we call absolute zero. Okay? So absolute zero is equal to no heat at all because there's no particle or molecules moving. That's heat, teachers. Okay? And remember, when a substance is heated, it expands. Oh, so if the substance is heated daw, it expands. Why? Because if we apply heat to a substance, the particles are moving fast, and there is now a generation a generation of heat or spaces making it expanding. So if the substance is heated and it expands, then the volume is increasing. So there is a direct proportional or direct relationship of heat to the volume of matter. And therefore, it becomes less dense. Why? Because when we say dense or density, okay, density is mass over volume. So, if the density or if the mass is increasing, meaning the mass or the substance is very compact, then it is said to be dense or denser. But if the mass is lighter, the density is lesser. Why? Because the mass of that substance, when it is being heated, the particles are moving far apart, creating a space. So, mas nagkakaroon siya ng, kumbaga gap, making it to float probably and to have that lesser dense or less dense. Okay? So, there. That's the relationship of heat. So, ulitin lang natin, ang heat, it's the total kinetic energy of all molecules. The faster the molecule moves, the higher the heat. Okay? The higher the mass, the higher also the heat. The higher the energy of particles, the higher the heat. And the higher the heat, the more volume it is and the less dense it becomes. So in terms of density, mass is inversely proportional, or there is an inverse relationship between heat and density. Okay? So please remember those stuff. Okay? So that's heat. And in addition, I have here a situation. Let's internalize how heat works in a certain substance. Now, I have here a situation. It says here, a metal cup containing water at 15 degrees Celsius is placed in an aquarium containing water at 20 degrees Celsius. Now, we have questions here about the situation. Letter A, which way will heat flow? Okay, so ano nga ulit ang situation natin dito? May metal cup tayo containing water at 15 degrees. So meaning, may laman yung cup ng tubig at ang temperature ng tubig ay 15 degrees. Tapos, nilagay po yung water na yan with 15 degrees Celsius temp in an aquarium na may tubig din po na ang temperatura niya ay 20 degrees Celsius. So remember that the water in aquarium is hotter compared to that 15 degrees Celsius water from a cup. Now, the question, what way will heat flow? Okay, so this is, or this has something to do with the law of thermodynamics, no? Law of thermodynamics na sinasabi po doon na ang movement daw dapat ng heat is from warm area to cold area. Tama? From warmer area to cooler area. So that's how heat flows. So if we're going to answer letter A, the correct answer there is yung way ng heat is from the water, or yung heat ng water galing sa aquarium papunta ngayon doon sa tubig na 15 degrees Celsius. Okay? So, from 20 degrees Celsius water to 15 degrees Celsius water. So, yan po yung tamang sagot dyan. So, from 20 degrees na water, papunta kay 15 degrees. Ano yung, bakit ito ang sagot natin? Kasi sabi sa law of thermodynamics, na ang movement daw ng heat is from higher temp to lower temperature, or from warmer body to a cooler body. So there, and this is the correct answer. Now let's go to letter B. When will the flow of heat is stop? What do you think, guys? When will the flow of heat is stop? Kailan mag-i-stop yung flow ng heat? Okay? Mag-i-stop lang. Okay, ang sagot dyan sa letter B, mag-i-stop lang po yung flow ng heat kapag yung parehong system or parehong body ay meron na silang parehong temperature. If there is now same temperature. Okay? So the heat will stop the flow if there is now similar or same temperature of the two body. Example, itong water natin dito, which is 15, tapos 20 degrees Celsius na, tapos 20 degrees Celsius na, tapos 20 degrees Celsius naman itong isa. So let's say, let's just get the mean. Okay? let's say, sorry, 17, halimbawa, 17.5 degrees Celsius na lang ang pinaka-temperature ng buong katubigan na yan. So, this is now the temperature when the heat flow stops. Kasi pareho na. Lahat na ng system, yung tubig galing sa cup at tubig galing sa aquarium, yung parehas na sila ng temperature. So that's the time when the heat or the flow of heat is stopped. Okay? And ano naman daw po ang tawag when the heat no longer flows? Ano daw ang tawag kapag yung heat daw ay hindi na nagfo-flow? Ang term natin dyan ay tinatawag nating thermal equilibrium. So, if there is thermal equilibrium, kasi same na nga ang temperatura ng dalawa o higit pang body or system, then heat is no longer flowing. What's the term again? Thermal equilibrium. Okay? So I hope I hit talaga. I hope that's clear to all of you. Ayan. Okay? Next, let's go to the concept heat as a form of energy. Sabi ko sa inyo yan kanina, that heat is a form of energy. Heat can make things hot, and we can use heat to do work, definitely. And the example of this concept, or yeah, the concept is the heat engine. Okay? The heat engine, once it is heated from thermal, then it will become, from thermal energy, it will become mechanical. So, the ability of heat engine to move due to that hot temperature or due to the thermal energy is what we call heat engine. Heat. Okay? So, we're able, heat heat engine can be able to do work. Okay? So, that's the correct example for that. Heat engine. Ayan. Okay? Guys ha, okay? Guys ha, paki-memorize ang heat engine. Nasa TOS nyo ito. Next, we feel hot when the sun shines. Definitely. This shows that the sun is a source of heat energy and give out heat. Most of the heat on the earth comes from the sun. Yes po. So, kumbaga ang supplier natin ng energy or heat energy ay ang ating planet, ang ating sun, no? Wherein our planet receives sunlight from the sun. That's why we feel hot. Okay? So, there. It is an energy, a form of energy, heat. Okay? So, I hope that's clear to all of you. Now, let's proceed to the different sources of heat. Okay? Saan ba pwede makakita ng heat? Number one is rubbing or friction. May I ask everyone to rub your hands, your palms, guys? Can you rub them? What would you feel? It feels hot. It gets warmer and warmer as you continuously rub your palms in an opposite direction because there is friction. So since our left palm or left arm and right arm are both matter and they have mass, therefore they have molecules. So in general, since they are going against each other, then there is the movement of molecules or of its parts creating or of its parts creating heat. So there is warmth. Okay? That's one way or one source. Another is burning. Okay? Ang burning, if you are burning, especially if you come closer, you feel hot, right? But if you are away, you cannot feel the warm or the heat, okay? But definitely burning is a source of energy in the form of heat and also electricity. That's also another source, okay? So ang energy, nakukuha yan dahil may electric charges from the electrons flowing in a wire. So that's electricity. Bending metals, definitely. Pag binend mo yung metal, halimbawa yung copper, pag binend mo yan, yung area kung saan may na-bend, it will become hot. Why? Because the atoms or the particles present in that wire are moving, and when they move, there is heat. Because the particles are moving, there is a kinetic energy. So that's the reason why when we bend metals, it gets hotter. And also chemical reactions. Yes. So chemical reactions produce heat as well, especially if the bonds in between molecules or in between functional groups are destroyed. There is heat loss or there is heat production rather, and also collisions. Ayan. So collisions, maaaring in a molecular sense, the collisions of molecules, example, air molecules, okay, they can form heat, okay, and not only that, yung mga banggaan halimbawa ng mga metal, so nagiging ano din yan, nagpo-produce din yan ng heat, okay? So again, these are the list of the sources of heat. Number 1, rubbing or friction. 2, burning. 3, electricity. 4, bending metals. 5, chemical reactions. And 6, collisions. Okay? So I hope this is clear to all of you. Now, let's talk about heat and temperature. So heat is actually a different concept compared to temperature, but they have relationship. Okay? So let's discuss the first bullet. Sabi niya dito, an object becomes hot when it absorbs heat. Definitely. Okay? So heat, hot. Okay? Kung may heat, may hotness. Alright? May increase in temperature. So sabi ko sa inyo, may relationship sila. Okay? And then temperature, if we define temperature, it is the hotness and coldness of an object. Okay, so sa isang material, iba-iba yan ng temperature. Parang tayong human beings, we are warmer compared to the wall of the house, yung dingding. Kasi sa ating katawan, there is chemical reaction since we are living matter or living organism. Pero yung wall ng ating bahay, it feels hot or it feels cold kasi basically hindi naman po gano'n katlakas yung pag-move ng mga molecules present sa wall. Okay? Same with spoon, 'di ba? We feel that the spoon is cold, 'di ba? So cold 'yon kasi maaring epekto kung saan nakalagay yung spoon. Kung sa malamig, then it will become hot, cold rather, pero kapag sa mainit, it will become hot. So, especially kapag living organisms, non-living things, guys, okay, nakadepende ang kanilang temperature sa kung ano yung environment meron sila. Okay? So, the unit of temperature is degree Celsius. So, alam nyo na yan. Pero sa fundamental unit, sa SI unit, guys, sa System International, we are using Kelvin. Right? And thermometer is the instrument used to get the temperature for you to know the hotness and the coldness of an object. Okay? Though heat and temperature are related or they have relationship, but be reminded that heat and temperature are two different concepts, guys. So I have here a table for you to provide for me to provide you additional information about the differences of heat and temperature. So this part is the heat and this part is the temperature. So let's have their or discuss their demarcation line or differences. Heat is a form of energy while temperature is the degree of hotness and coldness. Heat can do work, temperature cannot do work because when we say temperature, you are just describing how hot or cold a material is. Heat is measured in joules or calories, while temperature is measured in Celsius or Kelvin, or we also have Fahrenheit. Transfer form a heat or transfer from a hot area to cold area. Yan po yung heat. That's the flow of heat according to the law of thermodynamics. And in terms of temperature, increases when heated and decreases when cold. Ayan. So, yan po ang paghahambing natin, no? In terms of heat and temperature. Okay? So, I hope that's clear to all of you guys. Ang heat, it's an energy, pero ang temperature, it is just the description of a material measuring the degree of hotness and coldness. Okay? Alright. So, yan po yung heat and temperature natin. Now, another concept that you need to understand is the heat transfer. Okay? Sabi nga, naulitin ko lang ulit sa first you guys. Ang heat, it's an energy, pero ang temperature, it is just the description of a material measuring the degree of hotness and coldness. Okay? Alright. So, yan po yung heat and temperature natin. Now, another concept that you need to understand is the heat transfer. Okay? Sabi nga, naulitin ko lang ulit sa first law of thermodynamics that energy is neither created nor destroyed, but it is just being transformed from one form to another. So, in heat transfer, let's discuss how heat travels or transform, okay, or flow. So that's what we call heat transfer. So heat transfer or heat only travels from a hotter object to a cooler object. And heat has several ways of traveling. Oh, sana all nagta-travel. Okay. So there are three kinds or ways how heat is being transferred. The first one is letter A. It is through or by conduction. Conduction through solids. So ang conduction, it happens in solid materials. So that's one of the phases of matter, no? Solid. Second one is by or through convection. And when we say convection, it happens with liquids or gases. And the third one is by radiation through vacuum or an empty space. When we say vacuum, it is an empty space or it is a region in a space wherein there is no particles at all. That's vacuum. Maybe some of you are thinking of vacuum cleaner. That's different, guys. Ha? Pero pag sinabi nating vacuum in physics or in science, it is a region in a space where there is no particles in it at all. Okay? So there. And gusto ko lang ihalo or ano dito isama sa discussion ko yung how light travels and how sounds travels. Okay. Always remember guys that light travels the fastest in vacuum. Okay? Kasi in vacuum, sabi ko sa inyo, it's an empty space. So the light particles or the light waves is just traveling with no interference. So the light travels the fastest in a vacuum. And light travels the slowest in solid. Because if we say solid, let's say there is a flashlight here and there is a wall, which is a solid, how can the light pass through it if there is a solid material here? So light cannot travel anymore. It stops here, therefore making light particles travel so slow. But if there's no particle, if there's no wall, just simply a vacuum with an empty space, then the light from the flashlight will become passing that space. So, the fastest naman. And in terms of sound, ladies and gentlemen, sound travels the fastest in solids and the slowest in vacuum. Why? Because sound is actually a form of energy, and there is a wave there. And that wave should be bumping in a solid materials so that there is, the vibrations created from the sound will bump into the walls of that matter or of that solid material so that we can produce echo, providing higher volume to the sound. That's why it is louder to talk in a closed room than in an open area. So sound travels the fastest in solid, and sound travels the slowest in vacuum. Okay, that's why if there are instances or there are instances that you are calling your friend who is, who incurred distance from your area where you are, and then you're keep on shouting, but even though you are at the height of your pitch already, that person cannot hear you because wala pong solid na kung saan magbabump yung sound waves from your mouth. Okay, so yun po. Ayan, so since nabanggit lang siya din, at least malay nyo naman, labas ito sa board exam, alam nyo na ang kung saan mas effective nagta-travel ang sound waves at saka yung light waves or yung light particles. Okay? So ulitin ko lang, light travels the fastest in vacuum, the slowest in solid. Sound travels the fastest in solid and the slowest in a vacuum. Ayan. Now, let's talk about the conduction. So again, the conduction is one of the heat transfers we have. And when we say conduction, the flow of heat energy through solids such as metals is called conduction. So ibig sabihin nito, may conduction kapag may dalawang solids ka, like let's say metal, tapos pinagdikit mo, then there is heat flow there. Example, halimbawa na lang, nagpapainit ka sa gas stove ng tubig mong pampaligo, no? So since there is a direct contact from this source, okay, of heat, which is in the form of fire, yung pot will receive that heat kasi nga there is a direct contact. Tapos yung tubig from the ay yung tubig na nasa loob ng pot, malamig yun, okay? At unti-unti po yung iinit kasi yung water may direct contact din siya kay pot. Na kung saan yung pot nakaka-receive ng heat or fire from the burner. Okay? So that's an example of a conduction. Kailangan may direct contact. And then, heat energy uses molecules to help it to get around. So yan po, yan ang ating conduction. There should be solids. Okay? Kaya nga sabi kanina, using solids, no, yung conduction. And another example pa dito, ito pa pala, mas magandang explanation. For example daw ng conduction, when a pan is heated, the molecules at the bottom of the pan start to vibrate energetically. They collide with their neighboring molecules, cause them to vibrate faster. So there is higher kinetic energy here now. The passing of the heat energy from one molecule to another continues. And in this way, heat energy travels through the pan and then through the food in the pan. Ayan. So, yan lang din naman po yung sinabi ko kanina. Okay, so that's conduction. Now, another way of heat transfer is convection. Kung si conduction is happening or effective in solids, si convection naman ay effective siya kay liquid or gas. So heat can flow through a liquid or gas effectively because heated parts of the liquid or gas moves. Ayan. So, dyan na yung tinatawag natin, basta kapag mga fluid na or mga liquid or gases at may current na, then there is convection. So, warm air rising above a heater is an example. Okay. So, ang application daw ng convection ay yung heater, kasi yung heater, pinapainit mo yung tubig, which is a liquid, tapos yung movement po ng, ng heat is from doon sa area kung saan nanggagaling yung init, pataas. So, yung warm water na pupunta ngayon sa ibabaw ng tubig at yung cold water na part ay nasa ilalim. Because remember guys, kapag mataas ang temperature, mataas ang heat niya, mataas ang kinetic energy, therefore mababa na yung kanyang dense. Kasi nag-expand siya, mataas yung volume. Okay? Kaya yung warm air, lesser dense sila, kaya ang warm air nasa taas at ang cold air nasa baba. Ngayon, parang sa atmosphere natin, guys, remember this. Di ba nakaka-receive tayo ng heat from the sun? Or yeah, energy from the sun. Tapos, when that heat strikes the ground, yung ground iinit. Tapos, alam naman natin na ang troposphere, ito yung area na pinakamababa ng atmosphere natin. At may air doon. Ngayon, since umiinit yung air na nasa ground, aakyat yun ngayon. Tapos yung cold air na nasa taas ng atmosphere, bababa. Okay? Kaya meron tayong tinatawag nating parang yung air na nagsasalitan lang yan. Na kapag mainit na yung air, aakyat yun, tapos yung cool air bababa. Tapos kapag yung cool air na yan, na nasa baba, ay uminit na din, tapos yung warm air na nasa taas ay lumamig na ulit, then babalik ulit yan. Magsiswitch lang yan. Okay? So it's just a cycle, magpapalit-palitan lang yan. Okay? So there, yun po yung weather cycle natin. But in terms of heater, kaso nga lang, sa tubig siya nagaganap. Eh di, yung warm water mapupunta sa taas pag nagpapainit ka na, tapos yung malamig na part ng water ay nandun na siya sa ilalim. Tapos iinit yan ng iinit hanggang sa magbo-boil na yung water. So kapag nag-boil na yung water, ang heat transfer niya is through convection, tapos mataas na rin yung temperature niya kasi mataas yung heat na pre-provide sa tubig. Ayan. So that's convection. Okay? So there. Next, radiation. So this is the last way how heat is being transferred. So radiation is the process where heat energy travels through empty space or vacuum. So kapag ang heat energy daw nag-travel siya sa empty space or vacuum, then that's what we call radiation. At ang example ng radiation is the transfer of heat from the sun to the earth through mostly empty space, correct. So such a transfer cannot occur via convection kasi walang gas particles doon sa vacuum, gaya ng sinabi ko, at wala rin pong liquid at or conduction kasi walang solid sa outer space, okay, which requires the movement of material from one place to another or the collision of molecules within a material. So that's radiation. Kaya pag naririnig natin yung ultraviolet radiation, tama po yun. Kasi it's a form of radiation na yung ultraviolet, which is one of the electromagnetic spectrum that we have from the light. Then yun, that's how energy is being transferred. Okay? Ano yung dinaanan nga ulit ni radiation? Empty space or vacuum. Ano yung napagdaanan ni convection? Liquid or gas. Ano yung pinagdaanan ni conduction? Solid. Ayan. So, yun lang naman po ang dapat ninyong malaman. And I hope that's clear to all of you. And now, okay, ito, another concept that you need to know. I actually mentioned this earlier. And this is the absolute zero. Absolute zero is the temperature where there is an absence of heat. So, kapag yung absent yung heat, walang kinetic energy. Kapag walang kinetic energy, walang movement ng particle. So, that's absolute zero. Okay? So, I will repeat. The temperature there is wala, malamang, dahil there's an absence of heat. And if there's an absence of heat, no kinetic energy. And if there's no kinetic energy, then wala rin po tayong temperature doon. Okay? So that's absolute zero. Next, let's go to specific heat. Pag sinabi nating specific heat o may specific na heat ang bawat substance, and specific heat is the amount of energy needed to raise the temperature of 1 kilogram of a substance by 1 degree Celsius. So yan daw yung amount ng energy na kinakailangan para mapataas natin yung temperatura ng isang material or 1 kilogram of a substance by degree Celsius. Okay? So the ability of a substance to absorb heat, yes. Specific heat is the ability of a substance to absorb heat. Tama po yan. Parang sa tubig, mataas ang specific heat ng tubig. So it takes time to heat the water. Okay? And bawat bagay kasi or bawat material, teachers, may kanya-kanya silang specific heat. Okay? And the property or specific heat is a property that can help identify substances. So we are not only using density as a way or as a property of identifying matter or materials. We also have a specific heat because the specific heat and the density of matter varies. Okay? Iba-iba yan. Alright? So, yan. Dahil yung tinatawag natin specific heat. Ito, may question tayo dito sa specific heat. How much energy does it take to raise the temperature of 2 kilograms of water by 3 degrees Celsius? The specific heat of water is 4,184 joules or per kilogram degree Celsius. So in order for you to get the correct answer here, guys, what you need to do is to get the mass, know the specific heat, and delta temperature or the change in time. Okay? So in order for you to get a specific heat or the energy, okay? So this is the formula, guys, ha? Energy is mass times C means specific heat of a substance and the change in time, in temperature. All right? So mass is 2 kilograms and multiply that 2 kilograms to the specific heat of water, which is 4.184 joules per kilogram degree Celsius, and multiply also the value of temperature, which is 3 degrees Celsius. So if you're able to multiply all of these figures, then whatever the product, that's the energy. Okay? So of course, kung energy ang pinag-uusapan, you have to cancel out kilogram, you have to cancel out degree Celsius, so that what will remain is just joule because we are asked of energy. And remember, energy is measured in joules. So kung ano man yung sagot dyan, yun po yung sagot. Alright? But let me just calculate it manually. Guys, try to calculate it also. So 2 times 4.184 times 3 is ilan? 2 times, no, not 4.1, it's 4,000. 4,184 times 3. So we have here 25,104 joules. Okay? So that's how we calculate energy by utilizing specific heat and mass and the temperature. So what if you are asked to get the specific heat of material? So what you're going to do is you have to do formula derivation. Tama? So from the formula E equals M C delta temperature or change in time. So if you want to know the specific heat, just divide both sides by mass and the delta temperature, mass, delta temperature. So you can cancel this out, cancel this out, cancel this, cancel this. So in order for you to get the specific heat formula, C or CP, ayan, para mas kompleto, equals energy over mass delta temperature. Okay? So, ito po yung magiging formula. Ito na yung formula ngayon ng specific heat. Alright? So, don't worry if you just know how to derive formula from one formula to another, then it would be easy for you to answer problems relating to specific heat provided with the energy, the mass, and the temperature. Okay. So that's a specific heat. Now, let's talk about heat of fusion. So heat of fusion is one of the topics that you need to know in heat. And when we say heat fusion, it is the amount of energy needed used to melt, ito naman, melt 1 gram of a substance without changing its temperature. Again, this is the energy needed used to melt 1 gram of a substance without changing its temperature. And the term there is heat of fusion. Okay? And the last one concept about heat is the heat of vaporization. What is heat of vaporization? The phase change when a liquid becomes a gas. I will repeat. It is the phase change when the liquid becomes a gas. Alright? Kaya nga po, yung vaporization or vaporization, kaya meron tayong word na evaporation. Kasi from liquid to gas, the phase change there is evaporation or vaporization. Sinabi natin vaporization, from liquid, it will become water vapor, and water vapor is a gas form of water. Okay? Alright, so there. And please be reminded guys na ang water, ito lang yung may tatlong state ng matter. Water can be a solid in the form of ice. Water can be a liquid. And water can also be a gas in the form of water vapor. Okay? So, may solid dyan, may liquid phase, at meron din po siyang gas phase. Ayan. So, ano nga ulit ang tawag sa solid phase ng water? Ice. Ano ang tawag sa liquid ng water? Di yung water mismo. At kung gas naman ay water vapor. Ayan. So, heat of vaporization is the energy needed for 1 gram of liquid to become a gas without changing the temperature. Okay? So, kung ang heat of fusion ay to melt 1 gram of a substance without changing its temperature, ang heat of vaporization naman is energy used or needed for 1 gram of liquid to become a gas without changing the temperature. Okay? So, yan po yung rason kung bakit nag na natutuyo yung mga wet na bagay. Okay, halimbawa sa paglalaba, pag nagsampay ka, so there is heat of vaporization there because the liquid present in the clothes become become gas. Okay? So there. And pag nagiging gas kasi ang water, well, we know water is made up of 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen, and there is a bond between or among the 3 atoms present in water. So they need to be broken. There is heat because there is a bond being broken. So there is, reaction there, and yeah, there is heat. Okay. So that's heat of vaporization. Ayan. Alright, so we're done with heat. Kumusta naman po kayo guys? Oh, wait lang ha, ano ko muna itong aking PowerPoint. So, guys, kumusta naman po kayo? Maliwanag po ba? Naiintindihan po ba ako, teachers? Teachers, are you still there with me? I hope you are able to, to understand my lesson tonight. Are you still there? Kaya pa ba? We are now 820 in this virtual classroom sa MS Teams natin. So, I hope okay pa kayo, teachers. So, tuloy-tuloy tayo para matapos na rin tayo. Okay? So, kaso nga lang, wala pang sumasagot. Hindi ko sure kung masaya pa ba kayo or hindi. Ayan, so, oh, teachers, galaw-galaw. Baka pwedeng gamitin natin ang keyboard natin dyan o ang cellphone natin pang message sa akin. Okay? Yes, sir. Kinakaya po. Ayan. Di ba? Ang landi ni Sir Val. Hmm, ayan. Okay na tayo. Sige. I'll answer your questions later na lang, no? Meron kasi nagtatanong about doon sa exam. Sige, mamaya i-discuss natin yan. Basta ang importante dito, nandiyan pa kayo at nakikinig kayo. Anyway, I will go back to your questions later. But now, let's proceed with magnetism. So, from the word magnetism, ano ba yung nasa isip natin? Siyempre, nandiyan na yung mga tinatawag nating ism-ism. Ito ba yung ano? Philosophy of education po. Hindi lahat ng isam-isam ay philosophy of education, iba physics yan. At ano yun? Magnetism. Ayan. So, come on, let's discuss magnetism. So, magnetism is actually a subject that includes, the properties of magnets, the effect of magnetic force on moving charges and currents, and the creation of magnetic field by current. So that's basically magnetism. Magnet. What's in the magnet? What is the magnetic field? How does magnetic field form? Okay? So those are the things that we will discuss at this juncture. So magnetism is the force exerted by magnets when they attract or repel each other. So there is always interaction between two magnets. And they just don't simply attract or repel with each other. Okay? Kailangan may proper positioning para mag-attract sila. At pag mali yung positioning nila, magre-repel yan. As long as magnetic sila, kahit hindi mo kanyan, gagalaw ang mga yan. Dahil may attraction nga sila. Okay? And magnetism, it is caused by motion of electric charges. Electrons carry electric charges. So, itong bullet na ito, it talks about electromagnetism na, but still that's part of magnetism. Okay, so yun yung magnetism. Okay, ito yung force exerted by magnets when they attract or repel each other, and it is caused by the motion of electric charges. Okay, electrons carry electric charges. Yes, ayan. So what is a magnet, guys? When we say magnet, it is an object that has properties of magnetism. Okay? So, siguro naman nakakita na kayo ng mga magnet, no? Minsan nasa sa speaker yan. Kasi may nabibili sa Tiangge, ano? And a magnetic field is an invisible area around the magnet where magnetism occurs. Okay? So, there is a magnetic field. So, basically, as long as may magnet, meron yang magnetic field. Ayan. So there are types of magnetic poles. If we talk about magnetism, we have the north magnetic pole and the south magnetic pole. So merong dalawang pole. Therefore, we can term this also as diamagnetism kasi meron siyang north pole and south pole. So example, if this is the magnet, this portion is the north and this portion is the south. Okay? So, north magnetic pole are those that are attracted towards the Earth's geographic north pole. So, ibig sabihin nito, pag na-attract daw yung isang magnet at this is heading towards the geographic north of our planet, then that's the north. And the other way around, it's the south magnetic pole kapag ito naman ay na-attract towards the Earth's geographic south pole. Okay? And note, guys, like poles repel, meaning north to north repels. And unlike poles attract. So north, south, attract. Kuha? So kapag north to north or south to south, vice versa or vice versa, they will repel. But if there's an opposite attraction of unlike poles, then they will attract. They will unite. Diba? They will be one. Okay? So, yan po ang ating important rule that you need to know about magnetic poles in a magnet. Okay? Now, let's talk about ferromagnetism. Ferromagnetism is a kind of magnetism that is associated with iron, cobalt, nickel, and some alloy. Pag sinabing alloy, a combination of elements that are magnetic or compounds containing one or more of these elements. So that's ferromagnetism. So ang ferromagnetism, ito yung mga mga elements or materials na good at conducting magnetism. Okay? Ano nga ulit yung mga yon? Or remember this, guys. We have iron, cobalt, nickel, and some alloy. So as you can see, they are more of metals. Ano po? Kasi sa magnetism, there should be an electron, of course. Okay? Kaya minsan itong mga ito ay nagagamit sa what do you call this? Sa mga appliance po, no, to maintain magnetism, to produce magnetic field para okay po yung flow ng charges. Kasi pag may flow ng charges, may magnet. Yun po yung gustong sabihin nito. And these materials yung mga ferromagnetic na yan. Okay? And now, let's talk about electromagnetism. So, pag sinabi nating electromagnetism, it's a kind of magnet where the magnetic field is created by an electric current. So, we need electricity here to form magnet or magnetism. Kaya siya electromagnetism. And it is used in modern technologies. Okay, so example niya yung mga sa mga appliances, no? So meaning, pag ang electromagnetism, magkakaroon lang ng ganyan kapag may flow of electric current. So kung walang electricity, di walang electromagnetism. Okay? So there. And electromagnetism has a lot of applications and we need to name some of it. And electromagnetism transpires in motor. So what is a motor? Motor is an electrical device that converts electrical energy into mechanical energy. And it conducts electromagnetism because basically there is an electron flow, meaning there are electrical charges since it is an electrical device, the motor. And it is now converting electrical energy into mechanical energy. So the appliances that have motor, we can say it's the blender, because blender has a motor. It receives electrical charges from the power source and it creates mechanical energy because it needs to be rotated. Ba? And on the other hand, generator is just the counterpart of motor, because in motor, no, it is converting electrical energy into mechanical. Sa generator naman, it's the opposite of a motor because it's an electrical device that converts mechanical energy into electrical energy. So yan yung halimbawa ng electromagnetism natin, which is generator, the opposite of motor. From mechanical to or into electrical energy. Okay? So, yan. Yan po ang ating ah, dalawang application kung saan natin makikita ang electromagnetism. Okay? Ayan. Kaya kung mapapansin niyo yung mga generator natin, halimbawa kapag walang ilaw, no? They are fueled by fuel. And syempre, magkakaroon yan ng mechanical energy. Gagalaw yan. Okay? Tapos, pag yan gumalaw at nagkaroon ng mechanical activity, then it creates electricity. Kaya ginagamit natin yung generator to supply power. Okay? Or electricity. Okay. Next, ayan. So let's talk about waves. So waves is, so we're done with magnetism. We're also done with heat. Now let's proceed to waves. So waves, maaaring iniisip ninyo is yung sa ocean, because there is a wave. Well, actually, that's one example of a wave. Alright, that's how wave is being illustrated. So, may ganyan-ganyan siya. And wave is ganyan din. Ganyan-ganyan. Diba? So, that is wave. And if we're going to define wave, it is a disturbance in a medium. Ano ba ang medium? Pag sinabi natin sa physics, it might be a gas, a liquid, or a solid. So those are media or medium. Okay? Wherein wave is a disturbance in a medium that travels through a medium from one place to another that carries energy. Okay? So kailangan natin ng medium para may wave. Kasi again, this is a disturbance in a medium. So if this is the wall, example, and we have the sound wave, pack, then it will go. So, kailangan yan para ma-transfer natin yung energy from one place to another. Okay? That's basically wave. And we have also electromagnetic waves. When we say electromagnetic waves, are waves consisting an electrical field and a magnetic field fluctuating and carrying energy across space. So, ang electromagnetic waves natin, makikita natin yan yung sa sun. Okay? And are emitted when electric charges is accelerated. Mhm. And another form of wave is a mechanical wave. Mechanical wave is a physical disturbance propagated through a medium. It carries mechanical energy from one point to another. So example ng mechanical energy natin, ang maaaring yung ano sa ocean, no? Gumagalaw. Ayan. Powered by wind. Kasi kung walang wind, walang wave din. Ano? So there, that's electromagnetic waves and mechanical wave. And let's talk about the anatomy of waves. So if this is the waves, we have here transverse waves. When we say transverse waves, are those whose direction of travel is perpendicular to the vibrations. So example nito, ito. Let's say perpendicular ito to the vibrations. Ayan. So this is a wave. Transverse waves. And wavelength, it is the distance between crests of a transverse wave. More generally, it is the distance between 2 points that are of the same phase on a wave. That's wavelength. At may binanggit na crest. Ano ba yung crest? Kasabi niya, ang wavelength daw is the distance between crests. So let's define first crest bago natin i-apply yan dito sa wave. So crest is the highest point of a transverse wave. So this is a transverse wave. So ano yung highest point? Malamang ito, ito, and ito. So that's the crest, right? And the trough is the lowest point naman of a transverse wave. So this is the lowest point. So this is the trough 1, trough 2, and trough 3, and trough 4. Okay? And going back to wavelength, for us to determine what wavelength is, it's the distance between two crests. So if this is the first crest and the second crest, the distance between the two is said to be the wavelength. Okay? So that's wavelength. And this is a transverse wave. Okay, so I will repeat, transverse wave, it's a perpendicular to the vibrations. Wavelength is the distance between two crests. This is the crest, the highest point, and the lowest crest. The lowest part is the trough. Okay, so that's basically the anatomy of a wave. Ayan. And frequency, when we say frequency, it is the number of complete variation. Okay, I will repeat, it is the number of complete variations occurring at a point in 1 second. So example, pag sinabi nating frequency, bawa, ito yung duration ng 1 second. Halimbawa lang. Tapos in 1 second, ito yung na-produce na wave in 1 second. So, pag sinabi nating frequency, complete variation occurring at one point in 1 second. So, for this one, meron siyang frequency wherein ito yung isang frequency lang per second. I will repeat, per second. So, that's frequency. The speed of light in a vacuum is a universal constant. It is the maximum in the universe, or the maximum speed in the universe, and is equal to 3 times 10 raised to 8 meter per second. So that is the speed of light. That it is constant, no? It happens in all materials, especially in light. That's the speed of light. What's the value? 3 times 10 raised to 8 meter per second. Okay? There. And ibig sabihin nito, yung wavelength, no? Particularly from the light, kasi ang light may wave theory yan, no? That light has a wave-like behavior. So example, sa isang minuto or sa isang segundo, maraming wave na produce, no? Pero ang movement niyan madalas, guys, or lagi, is 3 times 10 raised to 8 meter per second kasi it's a constant speed of light. Okay? All electromagnetic waves travel at the speed of light. So, lahat daw po ng electromagnetic wave nagta-travel at a speed of light, wherein ito lang din yon. And further, sound is a mechanical wave. So, ang example ng mechanical wave ay ang sound. And the wavelength and frequency of an electromagnetic wave are inversely proportional to each other, correct? Teachers, remember this, ha? Wavelength and frequency of an electromagnetic wave are inversely proportional to each other. It means to say that when we say inversely proportional, the higher the wavelength, meaning the longer the distance, the lower the frequency. And in terms of energy, the lower the frequency, the lower the energy. Okay? So I will repeat, the longer the distance, or the higher the wavelength, the lower the frequency, the lower the energy. Or the higher, the lower or the shorter wavelength, the higher the frequency, the higher the energy. And this relationship will be discussed further if we are already at the electromagnetic spectrum topic, no? So i-apply natin ito. But now, initially, please remember this, no? These relationships among these three things: wavelength, frequency, and energy. The energy of an electromagnetic wave is directly proportional to the frequency. Ayan na nga. So kapag directly proportional, pareho ang agos. Kung mababang energy, mababang frequency. And inversely proportional to the wavelength. So ito na rin yun. Okay? So, there. I hope that's clear to all of you guys, ha? Anyway, I just want to add, sa isang frequency, guys, ang unit na ginagamit sa frequency ay hertz. Ayan. Hertz po ang ginagamit na unit if we talk about frequency. Okay. So now let's talk about electromagnetic spectrum. So electromagnetic spectrum is the arrangement of all electromagnetic waves in the order of increasing or decreasing frequency. So depende kung ang yung arrangement is from increasing frequency to decreasing or vice versa. Okay? So ano ba yung nandyan sa electromagnetic waves or is electromagnetic spectrum? So there are regions of electromagnetic spectrum and they are the following: radio wave, microwave, infrared, visible light, ultraviolet rays, X-rays, and gamma rays. And just to let you know, it is arranged from lower frequency going to higher frequency. So with this, we can say that if radio wave is said to be, or it has the lowest frequency, and gamma rays has the highest frequency, we can conclude that radio wave has lesser energy because it has the bigger wavelength, okay? While gamma rays have the highest frequency, the highest energy, and the smallest or the shortest wavelength. Okay? So that's it. So, ibig sabihin, mas dangerous ang microwave kumpara kay radio wave kasi mas mataas yung energy ni microwave compared kay radio waves. So, and so on and so forth. So yan po. And please guys, paki-memorize po ito. Ano nga ulit? Radio wave, microwave, infrared, the visible light, ultraviolet, X-ray, and gamma rays. Okay? There. Now let's talk about radio waves. Radio waves are the longest electromagnetic waves known. They range in length for a few centimeters to larger than our planet. Oh my gosh. So it's quite big, no? The wavelength or the waves produced in radio wave is kind of big because it might be larger than our planet, no? Kumbaga yung isang ganyan niya lang, halimbawa dito yung planet natin, eh di perfect. Yung isang ganyan na lang, buong planeta na. Okay? So some uses of radio waves are for communication, like in radio, and also in RFID tags. RFID tags is used by the vehicles we have, especially if they're passing through the what? Or if they pass by the North Expressway or basta mga expressways natin. Wherein if they have RFID, it must be loaded, and then once it is traced by a machine or sensors, then yung barrier will be lifted, and then the bus or the vehicle can pass through it now. Okay? So that's RFID. And syempre, pag sinabi nating radio waves, ito rin yung pa-facilitate ng mga signals sa mga radio station. So, ang difference lang nito, may mga radio waves kasi tayo na accessible siya like underground. Meron din pong radio waves na above the ground. So kapag ang radio wave ay below the ground, ang ating mode dyan ay tinatawag na amplitude mode. At kapag sa matataas na lugar, okay, kasi matataas yung, yung path ng wavelength ng radio wave, then we term that frequency mode. Kaya minsan may mga istasyon na located sila sa mga bulubundukin, especially in Baguio, halimbawa, and they can put up their radio station and we can use FM, which is the frequency mode. Okay? Frequency mode. No? At kapag sa mga mababang lugar lang, we have amplitude mode. Ayan. Diba? Perfect. So that's radio wave, guys. Next, let's go to microwaves. Microwaves have shorter wavelengths and therefore higher energy than radio waves, definitely. Higher ang energy ng microwave. Okay, example is radar. So that's one of the application of microwaves, the radar. Ayan. Next, infrared. Pag sinabi natin infrared, has frequencies in the gigahertz range to about 10 raised to 4 or like 10,000 hertz. Some applications of infrared are TV remote controllers and the hands-free faucet. So, hands-free faucet, guys. Di ba meron na tayong ganyan mga laboratory? No? So, if you will just put your hand below the faucet, then without, any parang tataas or ililiko para lang mag-boost yung tubig, ito, hindi na. Ma-sense niya lang na may kamay or something close to it, then it will flash water na, 'di ba? Ayan, also TV remote controller, infrared. Now you have the word red because, remember this, that word red because the spectrum right after the infrared is the visible light. And the visible light is arranged in the rainbow type wherein you have the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. So if we have infrared here, then after the infrared is the red, blue, green, blue, yellow, blue, green, indigo, and violet, which is now the visible light. Visible light because these are lights na visible to our naked eye. We cannot see infrared, we cannot see microwave, and also radio wave. Just visible light. Okay, they are known as optical spectrum. White color can be scattered into radio wave through a prism. So the prism is responsible for the dispersion of white color into radio wave. So ibig sabihin, white color is equal to radio wave. Okay? At pag sinabi mo na, pag sinagsama-sama mo naman yung radio wave, the color being created is white also. You just need to have a prism. Kaya madalas, guys, no? Kapag may sa daanan, may tubig, tapos natuluan halimbawa ng oil, yung oil serves as the prism, tapos pag makikita natin, may rainbow. Okay? So, yun po. That's visible light. And take note, guys, that red has the lowest energy because it has the biggest wavelength among these colors, and violet is said to be has the highest energy, okay, therefore having the shortest wavelength among these colors in visible light. Okay, so that's Roy Jivib. Next, right after the violet or the visible light is the ultraviolet. Okay, ayun yung signal nyo ha. Infrared, then followed by red, orange, yellow, blue, indigo, violet, and then after violet, ultraviolet. So ultraviolet can cause tanning to our skin. The main source of UV is the sun and has classifications. We have UVA, UVB, and UVC. Okay, that's why there are people who suffer from cancer, particularly skin cancer. That's because of too much exposure into ultraviolet radiation. Okay, so good thing our body is designed to release melanin, uh, which is a protein responsible for protecting us from that harmful ultraviolet rays. So meaning to say, the higher the production of melanin, the lower the risk of having cancer. So if your complexion is like, brown to dark color, you have more resistant skin from skin cancer. But if you are white, or if you have, that lighter color of complexion, then you have a higher risk of having skin cancer. So again, that's ultraviolet. And aside from that, guys, right after ultraviolet is the X-ray. And X-rays are widely used to see inside the human body and are emitted when fast-moving electrons strikes a heavy atom and are suddenly stopped. Their wavelengths are much shorter than those of ultraviolet, with frequencies in excess of 3 times 10 raised to 16 hertz. So the higher the energy, the higher the ability to penetrate molecule or a solid. So that's why X-ray can penetrate our body and can see our internal parts, particularly bones. And that's because of X-rays, right? That's because of its ability to penetrate our skin. And that's X-ray. And by the way, guys, please be reminded that you should not be receiving X-rays frequently because X-rays can cause cancer. It can cause mutation to your DNA, right? So there. Just ask the personnel who are taking, X-ray, mga radio tech natin na you know, you need to be informed of the dose. Kasi may mga dose na you need to have an interval of 2 years para magpa-X-ray ulit. Yung iba naman ay 3 months lang, yung iba ay 6 months, depende nga po sa dose ng X-ray na ginamit. Alright? Kasi nga again, masama ang too much exposure sa X-ray guys. It can cause cancer. And cancer is very fatal. Ayan. And last but not the least, for electromagnetic waves or spectrum, we have the gamma rays. So gamma rays have the higher energy and greater penetrating ability compared to X-rays, but both of them can penetrate our body. And gamma rays are used to fight cancer cells by damaging their DNA with a process called radiation therapy. Okay, so that's one of the application of gamma rays. But sometimes if we receive radiation therapy, it also kills the good cells, not just only the cancer cells. So sometimes it has an adverse effect into our body if ever we undergo radiation therapy. Okay, so that's gamma rays, right? And after that, guys, we have here different personalities that you need to know. We have James Clerk Maxwell. He's actually a Scottish physicist and mathematician and is famous for his theory of electromagnetism, which showed that light was electromagnetic radiation. So he said that according to his theory, magnetic light was a electromagnetic radiation. So there's an electron, okay, and there are electron charges, and as those electrons provide charges, then there is now the creation of magnetism or magnetic. Okay? Heinrich Hertz, as what I mentioned earlier, whose honor the unit of frequency is named, was the first to send and receive radio waves. Ayan. So he was the first to send and receive radio waves. Kaya yan, Hertz ang naging unit for frequency in honor to his invention. Ayan. So there. Ayan lang naman. And also, after the magnetism and the waves, now let's proceed to optics. Sabi natin optics, mataba ito. Well, tignan natin. Pag sinabi nating optics, it is the study of the behavior of light. So, ang light may mga behavior talaga yan. Light can be a ray, light can be a particle, or light can be a, you know, a wave. So, there are three kinds of optics. Geometric optics, it's the study of light as rays or rays. Physical optics, study of light as waves. And quantum optics, study of light as particle, which is also known as photon, na mapag-uusapan din natin ito sa, sa quantum mechanics or sa modern physics. But then, yeah, these are the three optics that we have in the field of optics. Okay? Pag rays, geometric. Kapag waves, physical. At kapag particles or photon, quantum optics. So let's talk about geometric optics first. So again, it is about rays of light or light as rays. So we have the law of reflection. Law of reflection states that upon reflection from a smooth surface, the angle of reflected ray is equal to the angle of incident ray. So we have here a an application of law of reflection, that if this is the incident ray, this is also the reflected ray, and the angle of incident ray is equal to the angle of reflected ray, and this n stands for normal line. So this is the normal line. Reflection yan kapag may parang nag-bounce lang siya. Tama? So there. Remember, angle of reflected ray is equal to the angle of incident ray. So that's the law of reflection. And since we're talking about law of reflection, let's talk about spherical mirrors. Spherical mirrors. So So we have actually three types of mirror. We have the concave, the convex, and the plane. Pag sinabi nating concave, guys, sometimes called as converging, inner side is reflecting, and the image formed is real and inverted. So ulitin ko lang ha, a concave mirror is a converging mirror. The inner side is reflecting and the image formed is real and inverted. Makatotohanan yung image at saka baliktad siya. Okay, kaya kung titignan natin dito sa ating presentation, yung inner side, yung loob, yun yung concave, which is the converging. Bakit? Nag-converge kasi yung light rays papunta doon sa gitna. Naintindihan? Okay? Kaya nag-ano siya, converge. Okay? At ano daw yung image form dyan? Real and inverted. Baliktad. At sa convex naman, it is also known as diverging. Bakit? Kasi kung ito yung convex, yung ating light rays dyan ay nagda-diverge. Okay? So, the outer side is the reflecting. Okay? So, kung mapapansin natin, guys, just think of a spoon for you to not to forget convex and concave mirror. But before that, let's talk about the image formed from this type of image. Kapag pag convex, the image is virtual, upright, and diminished image. Maliit yung itsura. Okay? So, curved mirrors, kapag concave, converging, real, and what do you call that? Real and inverted. Pero kapag convex, virtual, upright, and diminished. Maliit, no? So, kumbaga yan. Para hindi makalimutan guys, sa spoon, the outer side is the convex kasi it is diverging. Pag concave naman, is the inner side is the reflecting. There is what? Converging naman. Okay? Pag tumingin ka sa spoon, and if this is the concave, convex, ang itsura mo, upright, meaning kung anong itsura mo diyan sa totoong buhay, yun din ang itsura mo diyan, nakatayo ka din, patayo, at diminish yung itsura mo, maliit. Tas kapag sa ano naman, concave naman, yung paloob ng spoon ang hinaharap mo diyan, eh baliktad ka, alright? Inverted yung image mo at saka real naman. Okay? So, yan po ang ating mirrors. O, di ba? Perfect. One moment lang po. I'll just pause. I'll just charge my phone. Ayan. But anyway, while charging, ito na po. Number 2 is the law of refraction. The law of refraction states that the incident ray the refracted ray and the normal line at the point of incidence all lie in the same plane. So, ito po siya. Refracted light, okay? Refraction of light, this is the incident ray. So, kapag nag-pass through siya sa normal, they all lie in the same plane. So, ganyan. Yan. Medyo may bending of light, no? Pag ganyan siya, dapat sana, kung ganyan ang pasok ng light, dapat pa ganun siya. Kasi hindi, nagkaroon siya ng konting bend. Nag-bend siya ng konti. So, refraction is merely the bending of light. Okay, and that's the law of refraction. Now, let's go to the physical optics para matapos na po tayo. So, physical optics, ito yung light as waves. So, we have dispersion, scattering of light, interference, and diffraction. Pag sinabi natin dispersion, when light passes through the prism, the light separates into its component colors. An example nito ay rainbow. So, ibig sabihin, kaya may occurrence ng rainbow, that's because the light separates into component color, and that's because of dispersion. Kailangan, bago ma-disperse yan, mayroon muna dapat prism. Okay? So, dispersion, example, rainbow. Next is scattering. Light has the capability to be redirected. So, yung light daw na re-redirect. Ano yung term dyan? Is scattering. Redirected, na i-scatter. Example, light bulb. Kung si dispersion ay rainbow, you need a prism to separate the color. Si scattering naman, the light has the ability to be redirected, and the example is light bulb. Next, interference, the combination of waves traveling in the same medium at the same time. So that's interference again. Combination of waves traveling in the same medium at the same time. Example, thin film of soap bubble. Okay? Yung thin film ng soap bubble, nakakakita tayo ng color doon. Okay? And that's because of interference. Okay? Combination of waves traveling in the same medium at the same time is interference. And the last for physical optics, we have diffraction. So diffraction is the bending of light as it passes through an opening or an obstacle. I will repeat, bending of light as it passes through an opening or an obstacle. And an example of this is closely spaced tracks on a CD or DVD. That's diffraction. Si diffraction, parang refraction siya kasi diffraction is the bending of light passing through an opening or a hole or an obstacle. Pero si refraction, it's just merely a bending of light. Okay? Pag reflection, bouncing of light. Refraction, bending of light. Diffraction naman ay bending of light as it passes through an opening. So, kailangan may opening doon or obstacle. Okay? Pag interference, combination of waves passing through the same medium at the same time. Ayan. And also, last but not the least, the quantum optics. It is the study of light as particle, and the particle of light is known as photons. And the applications of quantum optics, we have lasers, magnetic resonance imaging or MRI, solar cells, electron microscope, atomic clocks used for global positioning system or GPS. And that's quantum optics. Ulitin ko lang ha. So we have the geometric optics, light as rays, physical optics, light as waves, quantum optics, light as particles. So geometric optics, we have the law of reflection, the bouncing of light from angle of reflection is equal to the angle of the incident rays. Okay, concave ray mirrors and convex mirror. So kapag concave, converging, inner side is reflecting, real and inverted ang image. For convex, it is diverging, outer side is reflecting, the image form is virtual, upright, and diminished. Okay? So, wag po tatandaan, kuha lang po ng kutsara, tignan nyo kapag paloob, pag inner side, that's concave. Pero kapag palabas, yung sa likod niya, convex yon. Okay? Law of refraction, the bending of light. Okay? And physical optics, dispersion, example rainbow, kasi kailangan mo ng prism para ma-separate yung colors ng light. Scattering of light, light is being redirected. Interference, yan yung combination of waves passing through the same material or medium at the same time. And diffraction is the bending of light. Ayan. Okay? And also for quantum optics, light as particle or the photon, okay? And applications are the laser MRI, solar cells, electron microscope, atomic clocks used for GMPS. And that's the end of our classical physics. Di ba? Ang perfect. So guys, kumusta naman? So, yan po ang ating discussion for tonight. Ayan. So, 9% na lang ang aking battery for my laptop. Ayan. Okay? So, there. Okay na pala. Ayan. So, students, kumusta naman po ang ating lecture? May natutuhan po ba sa akin? Ayan. Alam niyo po, sa totoo lang gusto ko po sana kayo makita isa-isa pero hindi ko po magawa dahil sa ako'y, gamit nga tayo ng MS Teams, no? So, ayun, ako lang magpapakita sa inyo. Ayan. So, hindi ko kayo makita pero I can read your messages here and I just want to check your messages kung kumusta naman po. Ayan. Wait lang po ha. Medyo malamig. Kung makikita yung madilim sa area ko, actually nasa outer space po ako. Charot. Ayan. Ayan. Wait lang po ha. O, di ba? Ang perfect yung lahat. Ang daming message at hindi ko maisa-isa to. But anyway, I'll just pick some of the questions provided here. Wag pong sasakit ang ulo. Naku, ang dali-dali na nga lang ng physics eh, 'di ba? Charot. Ayan. So, yeah, it's part of the game. You are able to, to review. Kasi review ito eh, 'di ba? So, kailangan nating balik-aralan yung mga bagay-bagay. Good evening, sir. May handouts po ba na maipo-post? Of course, I will provide handout, 'di ba? Sa pelikula lang ako walang malay, 'no? Pero sa review lagi tayong may malay kasi meron tayong laging handout. So, 'di ba? Thank you po, sir. Ayan, nare-recall yung topics daw nung college, ayan. Opo, wag kayong mag-alala, bibigyan kayo ng handouts nga po, 'di ba? Yun yung ano natin, 'di ba, procedure dito. We will provide. Ay, yung mga sinusoidal, medyo deep na kasi yan po. Pero if you want to add further readings, then better. Kasi again, major nyo nga po ito. No? So, you need to really know everything as much as possible. Pero kami naman, we have provided you topics na inline po sa TOST nyo para at least, sa board exam naman madalas is basic ang tinatanong. Okay. Ayan. Ano pa ba? Sir, ask ko lang kung may kinetic energy rin po ba sa mga cold areas. Meron din pero mababa. Kasi sabi nga natin kapag ang kinetic energy mababa, malamig. Pero kapag mataas ang kinetic energy, mainit yan. Okay? Unless absolute zero, pag wala ng pag wala ng kinetic energy, I mean, 'pag wala ng movement ng particles, 'di wala ng kinetic energy at 'pag wala ng kinetic energy, wala na ring heat, therefore that's absolute zero. Ano pa? Umbrella cells. Sige. Hertz or cycle per seconds, 'di ba po? Opo, basta hertz frequency. Kasi ang frequency, one frequency per cycle, yun po yung hertz natin. Electromagnetism, yung bullet trains ng Japan. Yes, tama po yan. That's why it is not, kumbaga may elevation siya, no, yung train because of the magnet, no? Hindi walang direct contact yun. Tsaka ang bilis ng daloy ng bullet train, no? Yes, basta may elevation siya. Oh, 'di ba yung iba sa inyo ganado mag-aral, perfect. Ayan, oh, may nagtanong dito, "Sir, ano 'pag British thermal unit po? Sabi niyo kanina kilogram per degree Celsius." Parehas lang din po ba yung concept na yun kapag sinaming 1 pound by 1 degrees Fahrenheit? Opo, kasi convertible naman po ang pound into kilograms, tama? Kung saan ang 1 kilogram is 2.2 pounds. Oh, tapos ang degree Fahrenheit, eh meron din naman po yung conversion ng Celsius. So same lang po. Yung iba sa inyo gising na gising, yung iba sa inyo wala na, tulog na. Huliin ko lang po ang rating ninyo nakadepende yan kung gaano kayo ka-lively, gaano kayo ka-determined, kung gaano kalawak yung effort na ginawa niyo, during the board. Sige, bahala kayo diyan. Ayan. Okay, so yun naman na po, ano naman ako nakikita, mabilis ng ano ba yan, Diyos ko, pasalamat kayo may ulo at sumasakit yung ulo niyo. Yung iba diyan hindi na sumasakit yung ulo kasi hindi na nila kayang o hindi nila maramdaman, o 'di ba? So maswerte pa rin kayo. We need to be grateful. Ayan. O sir, bakit po mas mabilis lumamig sa black pot kaysa white pot? Oh, ayan. Good question. So, in terms of black pot, siyempre 'pag black, walang kulay 'yan, tama? Tapos kapag white pot, white meaning, yung kulay niya is puti. So, sa concept ng electromagnetic spectrum, mga kapatid, alam naman natin na ang kulay ng bagay or ng isang material, yun yung kulay na nire-reflect. Ibig sabihin, if I am wearing blue shirt, the Roy-G-Wave or the visible light, all the colors like red, orange, yellow, indigo, green, violet are absorbed but not the blue because the blue color is being reflected. So now, if you have white pot, okay, pag white pot yun, meaning it reflects all the color. Kasi ang white pot, white color is equal to Roy G. Biv. Tama po ba? So meaning, kung puti ang damit mo or puti ang pot, yung kulay na Roy G. Biv, nire-reflect niya lahat. Therefore, lesser energy. Pag lesser energy, lesser heat. Pag lesser heat, mas malamig. Eh, kumpara dun sa black pot, kung black yun, walang kulay, lahat ng kulay sa Roy G. Biv, i-absorb niya. Pag nag-absorb, mataas yung energy. Pag mataas yung energy, mataas yung heat. Mataas yung heat, mas mainit. So, yun yung rason ko bakit mas mabilis mag-cool down yung mga nasa white pot kasi less lang yung energy niya na nare-receive from the light source. Compared sa black pot na nag-a-absorb ng lahat ng kulay na nasa electromagnetic spectrum. Therefore, matagal siyang mag-cool down. And that's the reason why. Kaya mas mabilis pong lumamig ang white pot and not the black pot. It's the white pot, not the black pot. Okay? So, there. Kasi pag black yun, inabsorb niya lahat ng kulay kasi wala nga siyang kulay, mas mataas yung energy kasi bawat kulay may energy yun. Diba? In the form of wavelength. Mm. So, ang white pot po ang mas mabilis magko-cool down kumpara sa at yan yung rason ko bakit mas fresh ang pakiramdam niyo pag nakaputi kayo pag summer at mas mainit naman kapag black. Tama ba? Oh, see? Ano pa? Okay, so yan lang po. So yan, maraming salamat po muli sa pagsama sa akin sa gabing ito. At least I served again my purpose. I served my mission to all of you. And what I really wish for you guys is for you to get your licenses at the right time. Okay? So, oh yeah, BTU. For British. Ayan. Hmm, ano pa ba? So, yun lang naman po, teachers. Maraming salamat po sa pagsama sa akin tonight. Natuto po ba, teachers? Natuto po ba? Okay po ba tayo? Naintindihan naman po ba kahit paano ang aking mga naituro tonight? Pa-message naman po ako bago tayo sipagpahinga. Ayan. Walang anuman po. Yes, kaya mainit din 'pag naka-black shirt tayo. Tama 'yan. Mainit. Walang anuman. Thank you din po. Okay. Sir, the sound can travel in vacuum? Actually, hindi. Kaya nga slowest ang sound sa vacuum. Kasi empty space, walang particle, hindi babangga yung vibration ng sound wave dun sa sound. Therefore, walang transmission of energy, walang sound. So, walang sound sa vacuum. Ano pa? Huwag mag-alala, pag hirap i-absorb, dahil pagod na, basahin ulit or pakinggan ulit ang ating lecture. Okay? So, kung wala na pong katanungan muli, maraming salamat po. Kita-kits tayo ulit next week with biology naman. So, yun po. Maraming salamat po sa pagsama sa akin at sana'y samahan kayo lagi ng Panginoong Diyos. Yun lamang po and thank you so much. And again, this has been Mr. Balbal to start the Trinidad your lecture for tonight. And I will see you again tomorrow for 30-item rationalization. Okay? So, kasi medyo busy rin po sa school. So, yun lamang po. Maraming salamat and may God bless us all. Ingat po. Enjoy the rest of the night. Bye-bye.